When you work with master pages, you're dealing with two new page types. The master page provides the page template. It can contain normal layout content, and you can place code in master pages as well that will apply to every instance of the page once it's rendered with the content in place. There's an important new feature when you're working with master pages, and that is the content placeholder control. These act as placeholders for content pages on your master pages. So you need to put a content placeholder control any place you want to have, well, content appear on that master page. The second type of new page is the content page, which provides specific content. This is displayed at runtime within content placeholder controls on the master page. Each page is associated with a specific master page. And as ASP.NET renders the page, it renders the layout of the master page surrounding the content page. Now, one thing to note, you'll never navigate to a master page directly in your application. Instead, you navigate to the content page, and ASP.NET does the rest. That's why every content page has to have a specific master page it's associated with, so that when you navigate to the content page, ASP.NET says, oh, I need to render this page. It's got a master page. Let me render the master page first, and then insert this page into the content placeholder as I render the entire thing. Let's walk through the steps of creating a simple master page and a related content page. To create a master page, I'll start by right-clicking and adding new item, and I'll choose Master Page. The default name for the master page is masterpage.master, and for our purposes today, that's a fine name. You can change it if you like. Notice this allows me to select a master page for the master page. I'll click Add for now, and here's our master page. Notice that it says Master at the top in the page directive. Well, it's not a page directive anymore. It's a master directive now. It looks and feels like the page directive, but it indicates to ASP.NET that this is not a page, it's a master page. And the biggest difference is it can contain content placeholders. Well, and the second biggest difference is you can't browse to this page in a browser. You can only browse to content pages. We have two content placeholders here by default. One is in the header, and you might put content into that from a content page like an ad rotator control or something. And here in the body, we have a second content placeholder control. You can add more if you want. This is just the default behavior. And this content placeholder then is where we will hook in, well, content pages. Well, let's start by getting some header content that will appear on every page. To do that, I'm going to steal from default.aspx. I'll look at the markup and borrow this header1 information. Let's copy it to the clipboard, go back to our master page, and paste that right here. So now we should have some content on the page. Go to Design View, and you see there's our Welcome to CuteFurryAnimals.com. Let's drag on the style sheet so this looks like every other page we have. And we now have header content. Notice this content placeholder control, which is here waiting for us to supply a content placeholder. Let's view this page in a browser. I'll right-click, choose View in, it's not there. Why isn't it here? It's not here because this is a master page, and you can't view a master page in the browser. Now we need to add a content page, and you might be tempted to choose this menu option, which does it. If you do that, they create a content page without asking you for the name of the content page, and I find that changing the name of the page is more trouble than it's worth. So instead, I'll choose a different route. I'll come up here and choose Add New Item, which lets me supply the name for the page, and I'll choose Sample Content. Now the tricky part here is you need to select a master page. Once you check that off, you'll next get a dialog that allows you to select what you want to use for your master page. I'll click Add, and now I only have the one master page, so I'll click OK. And here's our new page. You can see that it lists here the master page file, and we have two content placeholder controls. Content 1, Content 2. This one corresponds to the head content placeholder, and this one corresponds to content placeholder 1, which was in the body of the page. We can place content into either one of those or both. I'll go to default.aspx and steal a little more content. I'll take this label, copy it to the clipboard, come and paste it here within this content control. Now if we view this page in Design, we see both the master page and the content filled in. We can't edit the master page here. You see the no smoking sign. We can edit the content down here because it exists right here on our page. It's part of this page. We could drag and drop controls onto that content placeholder and lay out the page like you normally would. If we view this in a browser, and I can't even view in a browser here, my right click does nothing. If I right click here, view in browser, ASP.NET notices that this page has a master page, renders the master page, fills in the content with the content page, and then sends the entire merged thing out to the browser to be displayed. So ASP.NET does all the merging on the server side, as you might imagine. It would be great if Visual Studio guaranteed that it could always display the contents of the master page and the content page correctly. That's not necessarily the case. You may find that sometimes things don't look exactly right in Visual Studio. You can always browse to the page in a browser to test to make sure that things worked out correctly. A content page can't contain any normal page markup. So if you're thinking of converting a normal page to a content page, you'll have to do some clipping. There can't be an HTML, a body, or a head tag in a content page. Generally, the content page contains only content controls. There should be one for each content placeholder control in the associated master page. You can skip a content placeholder control if you want, and the rendered page will display the default content for that control. And we'll discuss that in more detail in just a moment. The master page uses the content object's content placeholder ID property at runtime to determine where the content goes. So to convert a normal page to a content page, you remove the page stuff and add a content control and then move the content. Those are the steps you'll have to go through to convert from a normal page to a content page. Now remember, a content page doesn't necessarily need to supply content for all of its content placeholder controls. You can place default content into a placeholder in the master page. Pages that don't define that content will just display the default that's defined in the master page. Let's try a demo that shows off these two features, converting a normal page to a master page and adding default content. Our application currently contains a number of different pages. There's farm animals, there's tame animals, and there's wild animals. And I'd like to convert them over time into content pages. So let's start by converting farm animals. I'll go to View Markup, and I'll modify the page directive at the top to include a master page file. And you'll see we get IntelliSense and can just choose from the drop-down list. There we go, and they fill it in for us. Now within the page markup, I'm going to remove everything except the stuff that is the content of the page. So I remove all of this. All I really want to end up with is the content. And there we are. Let's add an ASP:content control. There we are. And now we need to modify its properties so we know what part of the master page it goes with. We need to specify the content placeholder ID property. Content placeholder ID equals, IntelliSense really comes to our rescue here. There's two content placeholder controls on the master page, so we can select from them here. I'll choose content placeholder 1. This ought to be in quotes, and so I'll put them in myself. And also we need the run@= server set as well. There we go. The trick is, I've just discovered, type a single quote first, then press Tab. It'll put the following quote in for you. And let's move the markup into the content control. And there we are. So our page is all laid out. I'll save it. And now we'll browse it. View in browser. And you know what's going to happen. Because I've specified the master page, we get the content from the master page, which is this. That's pretty easy, right? You just remove the stuff that doesn't apply to the content of the page, then add a content control and move the content into that content control. Let's do it again just so you see it a couple more times so I finish this site. Let's get tameanimals.aspx. Should be easier this time. I'll do master page file equals, select that, come down here, remove all the extra stuff, add a content control, and this time I'll just set this stuff up right as I'm working. That's a content placeholder 1, and the run@= server. Finish that off. And there's our content control. Let's move this stuff into it. There we are. We're done with this one. And finish with wild animals. Let's look at its markup. Do the same exact thing. Master page file equals. Pick that one. Come down here, remove the extra stuff. Add an ASP : better not type in uppercase, : content control, add the content placeholder ID, there it is, run@ = server, finish it up, drag the stuff in, and we're done. Let's save it all, and let's view our default page now. This includes links to our pages. There's tame animals, wild animals, and farm animals. You have to agree, having a master page for all this certainly makes it easier to provide content that looks the same on each page. To add default content to a page, we need to modify the master page. I'll right-click masterpage.master and choose View Designer. And let's add a second content placeholder control right below the existing content placeholder control. And where is that? That should be here. Drag it on. Now we have a second content placeholder control. Within that new one, I'm going to enter some text like, oh, this is default content, and maybe I'll put a button in there. There we go. So now we have a second content placeholder control with some content in it. Let me save everything. Put this away. And let's pick one, say farm animals. I'll right-click, View in Browser. We see not only what we put into the page, but also the default content that came from the master page. Well, you can override that if you want. So let's try that. In farm animals, let's go to its designer. You'll see there's that placeholder there with the content from the master page. Now to add new custom content, you could go to Source View to do it, but the easiest way is to right-click and choose Create Custom Content. That puts in a new content control, and you can put in your own content. If we go to Source View, you'll see they've made a new placeholder. They've copied in the content from the master page, and we can now just remove all that and put our own stuff there. So let's try it. Let's go back to Design View and put something in there, maybe our own button. Our own button is there, and let's set the text so we know that it's ours. There we are. Let's save this and rerun default.aspx. If we go to Tame Animals, we of course see the default content because this page did not override that default content. If we go to Farm Animals, we see our own button. We have overridden the default content with our own content. Now, it's not a very meaningful example, but at least it proves that you can override default content or just accept the default content from the master page. Normally, developers use HTML tables to lay out their master pages, so you get things laid out in very specific locations. You can also use CSS positioning to get the same effect, but you lose the design time results. It's easier to see the results of design time in a table. You can place the header, the footer, the navigation in table cells and put the content control and put the content placeholder in perhaps the middle of the table. Let's try this out. We'll modify a master page and add table layout to the page to see how that might work. I've opened our master page.master in Source View, and I'd like to start by deleting the existing content placeholder 2 control, because that's just going to get in the way. It was just there to show off working with default content. Now let's go to Design View and see if we can lay out some tabular content here. I'll go to Table, Insert Table, and I'll change the number of rows to 3 because I'm going to want 3 rows for my table. The interesting thing was, in Visual Studio 2005, there was a tool that had templates for some standard table types. It's gone away, just not here anymore. So we have to lay this out manually. In this table, I'm going to select both the cells in the top row, and I'm going to merge them. I'll right-click, Modify, Merge Cells. You can do this in the markup if you want. I find it easier to use the designer for this. And at the bottom row, I'll do the same thing. I'll right-click, Modify, Merge the cells. Okay, now let's take this H1 element and drag it into, actually we can do it this way, drag it into the top row of our table. And there it is. Let's take the existing content placeholder control and drag it into the right column on the second row. There we are. Finally, let's select this whole thing, this table, and move it inside the div tag. There we are. So we've got everything in the right place. Now we need to modify the existing table element and remove the class attribute. I don't want this to be style 1. I'll just remove it altogether. Instead, I'll add a style attribute. So I'm doing an inline style instead. I'll add width colon 100% so it fills the entire width of the page all the time. To finish laying out this page, I need my links from default.aspx. Let's go get that. Here goes. I'll view the markup here, and I can steal the 4 links I have over here. There they are. Copy those to the clipboard and paste them right here. There we go. So we have our 4 links. And probably want to set the style property for this cell as well. So the width is only 20%. There we go. That looks better. Let me save everything. And I think we're about ready. Let's shut this down. Go to, say, Farm Animals, and view it in a browser. Well, of course we have a problem, because we've loaded up a page that's using content placeholder 2, and it doesn't exist anymore. I meant to do that, as I have to say. Let's go modify this and get rid of that content placeholder too. There we go. Save it, and once again run it. And here we are. You see, we've laid out our master page using a table where we have a header and a left sidebar, so we can go from one page to another in a very nice formatted sort of way. It's like using frames, except you get a much better experience. What if you need more flexibility? What if you need to layer master pages? Some pages inherit from some fixed behavior. Other pages might inherit from a modified version of that master page. Changes to a base master page would then affect other master pages that inherit from it, letting you cascade changes down through multiple levels of master pages. This was possible before Visual Studio 2008, but there was no designer support for it. Many developers worked this out, but there would be no way to see the effects of the nested master pages at design time. Finally, Visual Studio 2008 adds built-in support for nested master pages, so you can both set it up at design time and see the effects in the page designer. So say you want the same header and footer on each page, but some pages require menu links as well. You could create two master pages, the base master page.master, which includes the header and footer, and the menu master.master, which includes the menu as well. Changing base master page.master affects all pages based on either master because menu master inherits from base master page. The demonstration we'll look at will verify this behavior. We'll start by creating our base master page, and to do that, I'll add to my project a new master page. And I'll call it base master.master. And this time I don't want to select a master page because this is the base master page, so I need to uncheck that. I'll click Add. And here's our master page. And what we'll do is steal some content again from default.aspx. So I'll go over here, view the markup, and get my header and label. Let's copy those to the clipboard, go back to base master, and paste those right here. So now, of course, we have that same base content. That's great. Let's get our style sheet, drag it over, and so it looks like the master page you've seen already. I'm done with this for now, so let's save it and put it away. And let's create menu master.master. So again, we'll add a new item, a master page. I'll call it menu master.master, and this time I do want to select a master page. So this master page will itself have a master page. Which one do I choose? I choose the base master.master that I just created. So here's our new master page. You can see that it has a master page file. That's odd. A master page with a master page. Well, that's how it works. And we have two content controls ready to hold other content. I'm going to go steal the table we created in master page.master. Let's get the markup, get the entire table element. Here it is. Copy that thing and paste it in here. Now I don't want the top row or the bottom row, I just want the content part. So I'm going to remove from this the top row and the bottom row. There we go. And so now we look at design mode, the content from the parent page and the content from this page itself. It also has within it a content placeholder, which will hold the content from the content page. We need to create content pages for this master page. Let's save everything first. And how hard is this? If we go to farmanimals.aspx and view the markup, we just need to change the master page from masterpage.master to menumaster.master. And we'll put that one away. Same thing for tame animals. And we can, of course, choose this from the list of available pages as we did before. There's menu master. Great. Save it, put it away. And wildanimals.aspx. And I'll type it this time. Great. Now we need to modify the customers.aspx page so it plays along and can appear as part of a master page, actually be the content for a master page. So let's go to customers.aspx, view its markup, and indicate that it should use as its master page our base master.master. I want this page to use a different master page than the animal pages do. So if this is a content page, we need to get rid of all this extra stuff. There we are. And we need to add a content control here. And we need to indicate the content placeholder ID. And that'll be content placeholder 1. And the run at equals server. And finish that up. And now copy the content in. And there we are. We'll verify that this page appears as it should with the parent content from the master page and the child content from the content page. Looks like I need to add one more line break so it looks a little better. So here we'll put in the line break and save everything. And now it should look a little better. What did I mess up here? Of course, I have to put that inside. I'm glad we got that. You saw the error that occurs when you try to put content outside a content element on a content page. And there we go. We have a line break. Things look a little better. Let's save it, put it away, and verify that if we bring up, say, tameanimals.aspx, we get the page showing up as it should. Here's our menu master. Oops, no, that's base master giving us this, menu master giving us this, and here's the content coming from the content page. We can use the menus to follow the links. We can even use the menu to take us to customers, which uses base master.master. So this is there, but the menu is gone. Go back. So you can see that we get the menus for the pages that use menu master, and we only see the base master for the page that uses that as the master page. There's one more wrinkle. What if we modify base master? Who sees that change? Well, let's go to base master.master. I'll clean up a little first. Go to the markup here, and let's remove this label. I don't need it anymore. And instead, down here below the content placeholder, I'm going to add my own paragraph element. We'll add a style attribute. We'll have this text centered, and we'll also have it be very small. There we go. And we want some text here. Something like copyright 2008, cute, furry, animals, Inc. Let's save everything. So we've made a change to the base master. Now if we go back and view each of the individual pages, will we see that change on the animal pages? Well, let's see. I'll go to tameanimals.aspx, view in the browser, and it worked. Notice that the label up here is gone, and the paragraph down here shows up. So the changes we made to base master filtered through to menu master and appear on the Tame Animals content page. The same for each of these other pages, and customers, of course, gets that change because it uses base master.master as its master page.